Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hi, Karima.
Hi, yes, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, if you are ready, I think that we have all our panelists online, so maybe we can start. I know that all of you are very busy persons, and the time that you will be allocating to this meeting may be limited. So if, with your permission, maybe we can just start. I'll just say a few words and then give you the floor. Yeah? Great. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, j'ai l'immense privilège en tant que directrice de l'Institut pour le développement économique et la planification, l'IDEP, et représentante de la commission et staff de la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, de vous accueillir à cette rencontre de haut niveau sur le thème « Incertitude mondiale et stabilité macroéconomique en Afrique. Quel rôle pour les modèles macroéconomiques ?» C'est une rencontre que nous organisons pour le lancement officiel du réseau des jeunes économistes de la CEA. En votre nom à toutes et à tous, je voudrais souhaiter la chaleureuse bienvenue à nos hôtes de marque, Son Excellence Madame Vera Songwe, secrétaire générale adjointe des Nations Unies et secrétaire exécutif de la CEA, Son Excellence Monsieur Ibrahim Mayaki, PDG de Aouda NEPAD, Son Excellence Madame Hel Al-Saïd, ministre de la Planification et du Développement économique de l'Égypte, Son Excellence Monsieur Godwin Emefiele, gouverneur de la Banque centrale du Nigeria, le professeur Draman Coulibaly, professeur de macroéconomie à l'Université Lyon 2 de la France et qui représente la 6e région de notre continent, les Africains vivant en dehors de nos frontières, ainsi qu'aux étudiants qui représentent les 5 sous-régions du continent et qui prendront la parole tout à l'heure, Madame Insaf Guedidi de l'Université de Tunis pour la région nord-africaine, Zenzi Pala de l'Université de Cape Town pour l'Afrique australe, Mathilde Enouga de l'Université Yaoundé 2 pour l'Afrique centrale, Charles Ayobola, l'Université de Lagos pour l'Afrique de l'Ouest et Madame Edith Mukio, Université du Rwanda pour l'Afrique de l'Est. Comme vous le voyez, et une fois n'est pas coutume, nous avons un déséquilibre de genre en faveur des femmes, ce que nous apprécions puisque nous encourageons la participation de la femme africaine à la recherche scientifique. Bienvenue également à tous les membres du réseau, et ils sont nombreux à nous joindre aujourd'hui, aux membres du comité scientifique, aux recteurs et vice-recteurs, chefs de département des universités partenaires, à l'équipe pédagogique du cours que nous avons lancé il y a quelques jours, à tous nos invités, aux représentants des médias et aux collègues, bien sûr, de la CEA et l'équipe de l'IDEP. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, il y a quelques mois, nous nous sommes lancés un véritable défi, celui de mettre en place un réseau de jeunes économistes qui œuvreraient individuellement et de concert afin de servir le développement du continent et, deuxième élément du défi, de lancer ce réseau avant la fin de l'année. Je dis défi car nous avons commencé à y travailler au cours de la période estivale, donc une période de vacances pour la partie nord du continent. Défi parce que les délais que nous nous sommes fixés étaient très serrés, et défi parce que la pandémie du Covid-19 n'était pas particulièrement propice à de nouvelles initiatives, les priorités pouvant être perçues comme autres. Notre rencontre aujourd'hui, pour le lancement officiel du réseau, prouve que ce défi a bel et bien été relevé. Bien sûr, cela est du fait du travail acharné de l'équipe de l'IDEP menée par M. Thierry Amoussoukbo et soutenue par les départements de la CEA, mais beaucoup travaillé n'est pas nouveau pour nous. Surtout, ce défi a pu être relevé car vous y avez répondu. Vous avez répondu présent à notre appel avec beaucoup d'enthousiasme. À cet égard, je remercie particulièrement les universités partenaires qui, d'une manière instantanée, ont reconnu la pertinence et l'importance du réseau et ont proposé en un temps record des volontaires. Mes remerciements vont également à tous les étudiants et enseignants qui se sont associés à cette initiative et qui vont, sans nul doute, en garantir le succès. Vous y avez cru et très rapidement adhéré, car les objectifs du réseau répondent à un besoin véritable de nos pays, celui d'une réflexion plus approfondie sur les enjeux et priorités de la transformation structurelle, du développement socio-économique, de la reconstruction post-Covid et la nécessité de créer une masse critique d'experts pour supporter cette réflexion. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, figures are here to illustrate how excited you are about the network and its objectives. As of today, an impressive number of 734 young researchers from 69 universities and research centers from 27 countries have already joined the Young Economists Network, the YEN. And we are still progressing. Indeed, you may have noticed that these figures are far higher than what has been shared already with you, and we are going further. The network will provide a research and capacity development platform to improve macroeconomic policy management with a view to helping African countries build forward better and timely and successfully achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of Agenda 2030 and the aspiration of Agenda 2063. In this regard, the YEN will train, empower, and engage a new generation of skilled young macroeconomic modelers who will champion macroeconomic modeling excellence. Noam Chomsky said, "True education aims at pushing people to think by themselves." It is exactly what we want to achieve with the YEN. And it is why the YEN is also meant to be a gateway between the African academia and our decision makers, high-level government officials, members of local communities, representatives of the private sector, all stakeholders, to contribute to making policy formulation based on documented evidence and critical analysis of the prevailing macroeconomic environment. Our meeting today, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, is an illustration of the kind of high-level dialogue we want to establish. These aspects and many more will be developed by our very distinguished speakers, so I will not dwell on them any further. For now, let me just reiterate my warmest thanks to all of you for your presence today and your involvement in and commitment to the YEN. I wish all the success to the Young Economists Network of the ECA and an enlightening session to all of you. I thank you very much for your kind attention. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to the Executive Secretary of the ECA, Mrs. Vera Songwe. Yes, over to you. You are muted.
For my,
It
can you
works
hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Let me just start by saying how overwhelmed I am by how many people are joining us today, and for this for the launch of the Young Economists Network. I cannot overemphasize, I think, the joy that I have in seeing, you know, this many people interested and joining us for this event. let me start then. I just needed to say that and get that out of the way, because really, I hope that this is really the beginning of an amazing change on our continent in terms of how we talk about economics, how we do economics, and how we implement economics. I have always been a really, really big believer in the fact that, you know, the highest form of human excellence is when many of us get together and think of solutions. And this is it. You know, we wake up in the morning with so many questions. And, you know, if in the evening we can master this amazing group of people to begin to find some of those solutions for us on our continent, I am sure that it will be a game-changing event for us. We must question, we must continue to question on our continent, but not only must we question, we must do. On that note, Your Excellency, Mr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of Outer NEPAD, Excellency, my friend, my sister, Hala El Sayed, Minister of Planning and Economic Development of Egypt, His Excellency, the Central Bank Governor of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, Professor Dramani Coulibaly of the University of Lyon, representing, as we have ably said, the diaspora that is, oh God, so important for us, distinguished guests, but in particular you, young economists, young women, young men that have gathered here today with all this enthusiasm. Keep it, leave it, always ask questions. We don't yet have all the solutions for our continent, and we need you. Welcome to this really special edition of the Economic Commission for Africa Young Economists Network program. It is a special edition because, one, we're in the period of COVID-19, when there is a global economic downturn. But I think if ever there was a time when we needed an association like this, it's now. You all have heard everybody talk about the need for a new multilateral system, the need for a new international financial architecture. We have with us here, Governor of the Central Bank, who has just launched Bitcoin in the Central Bank. And, you know, we need to talk about what kinds of financial systems we build for ourselves. But we cannot talk about it if we don't meet and if we don't, you know, get along and see how we can actually exchange ideas. We have talked about, you know, Africa's debt. And many people have studied Africa's debt, but we need to do it ourselves. We must be masters of how we do this. In many of our countries, our leaders are looking for answers. In many of our countries, you, the young economists, have the answers, but there has never really been a platform where you as young economists meet with your leaders, meet with all of us, and talk about what's working in Tunisia, what's working in Egypt, what's working in Zimbabwe, what's working in South Africa, and what's not working in Gabon or in Cameroon. And I think this is really what we want to do here today. We have over 732 members of this network. And I hope that we continue to grow, because we need many more economists. We need to be able to shift our conversations on the continent today, from conversations that are not about conflict, from conversations that are not about gender discrimination, to conversations that are about prosperity, to conversations that are about growth, to conversations that are about what Africa projects to be by 2030 and of course by 2063. And that is why even the speakers we have gathered here today, Professor Hala El Sayed, the governor, Professor Mayaki, are all people who have spent a lot of their time, Professor Dramani, of course. All of us have spent so much of our time thinking about what that Africa has to be, working for it, giving our time for it. But I think we need to bring you together. We always say that Africa needs to become a prosperous Africa. We've said that Africa needs to do that, to grow at 10%. On average today, we're growing at 3.8%. Post-crisis, we have hit our highest, lowest growth in 50 years. Because of the COVID-19 crisis. How do we get out of that? How do we finance getting out of that? The IMF says we need $435 billion to be able to get out of this crisis. We do not have those resources. How can we look within? Those resources for sure exist within our continent, in pension funds, in using our commodity resources differently, in using our innovation and technology differently. And I think that's why we need you to come together and tell us, how can we, one, you know, when we have debates in the political space, in our macroeconomic spaces, how can we have this debates about what is the right government policy, what is the right macroeconomic policy that we need to put in place? We have always said, and maybe it's because we're all economists, I think I can say that since we're amongst ourselves, we have always said that you know, if you don't have the good economy, then if you don't have macroeconomic fundamentals, anything else around growth doesn't happen. Anything else, even around peace and stability, doesn't happen. We see that countries that are growing higher, countries that are growing faster, countries that distribute the wealth, because it's not just growth, but it is equitable growth. Countries that distribute the wealth in an equitable way are countries also that tend to be more peaceful. We have seen that across the world. I think we are beginning to see that in some parts of our continent, but we need you guys in each of your countries, but also across the continent, to do this work and to be able to demonstrate it to your leaders, that that's what we need to do to be able to have a prosperous Africa, an Africa that benefits all of us, an Africa whose riches we can begin to exploit, an Africa where we no longer say we have the potential, but an Africa where we begin to demonstrate the potential. The rest of the world is looking, but it is up unto us to be able to deliver that. Yes, we have big deficits. Yes, we have big debts. Yes, inflation is rising, but we have the solutions for all of that, as many other countries before us have done, as East Asia has done, as Europe has done by coming together. I think what we are trying to do here today is to lead as economists and to say, if we as economists, if you as young economists decide that we can transform this continent with our knowledge, with our analysis, we are moving to a facts-based conversation on how Africa can change and how Africa can become prosperous. I think that that contribution will be a contribution that is beneficial, not just to us as Africa, but to the rest of the world, because Africa is part and parcel of this global community in which we live. One main challenge, of course, that we have on the continent is data. And we hope, and I think that this is where the Economic Commission for Africa, working in partnership with the African Union, the African Development Bank, and all the other African institutions becomes important. We have some data. We do not have enough. We can build more data for Africa, because only with good data can we do good policies, and only out of good policies does growth come. So we have to make sure that we bring that trio together of data, of policies, and of implementation, of action, to be able to meet the Agenda 2063 and the Agenda 2030. So much is happening on our continent. So many bold achievements have been made. We have launched, of course, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. We have just launched the African Medical Agency, the African Medical Supplies Platform, a lot of innovation happening across the continent. We have heard and seen South Africa become one of the first to sequence the new COVID variant. Yes, we were penalized for it, but I think after that, there is a big recognition that Africa was the first one to announce it and to identify it. These are the kinds of fits that we can get out of our continent. And I'm sure each one of you has an idea of how we can change the continent and how we can make it better. So I'm hoping that as we launch this Young African Economists Network, as you can see, the sky is the limit around what we can do, around the exchange of information and knowledge that we can actually put in place. So I'm really, really hoping, and I'm so excited. I could speak in French, but I just speak in English because that's better. You know, we talk about Africa not having the skills, but look at how many of you are here today, and many more that within the continent and without the continent. I am sure that coming together, we can be able at least to change this conversation. Facts-based, let's model it, let's talk about it as it affects us in our different universities, in our different cities, in our different countries, in the continent. But we cannot live as an island and as a continent. We must and will always need to continue to live with others. We must learn from others. And I think there should be no shyness and no embarrassment from asking the question, how did you? And I think part of what we would like to do here is also to be able to reach out to the other continents once we are sure of ourselves and say, you know, East Asia, what did you do right? And Latin America, what are you not doing so right? Or America, what is working in your systems? We see the USA today struggling with inflation. Inflation is not just a problem for the for Africa. Inflation is a problem for everybody. We see the Federal Reserves in the United States wondering about digital currency and should they launch it or shouldn't they launch it? Maybe Nigeria, we can work together with you to see what is the best case for Africa. How do we do that? How do we launch a digital currency? Maybe we can leapfrog in that space as well. What policies do we need to put together? I think that really is what we want to do here today. That is how we begin to build this Africa. We could not do it by bringing everybody to the ECA, to the Economic Commission for Africa. So what we're doing is taking the Economic Commission of Africa to everybody else. We are so happy for the embrace you're giving us. We hope that as we continue to do this work, you will challenge us as well. We hope that together we can begin to publish and talk more about Africa's economic challenges. Our economic challenges lead to our political challenges. Our economic challenges lead to our socio-economic challenges, our cultural challenges. If we can solve some of the economic challenges, clearly we will be able to solve some of the conflict challenges that we have, some of the governance challenges that we have today that are holding us back, so that in the end, it is not about Africa's potential. It is about what Africa has realized. It's about Africa's successes that we will be talking. So please join me again. Thank you very much for the team that took this. It's not been many months when we started talking about launching this. They have worked really hard. They have worked tirelessly to be able to put this together. And it is against all effort. We're in the era of COVID-19 that we've been able to do this. So thank you. Make sure with COVID that you're taking care of yourselves and that we can do this while you take care of yourself, get your vaccines if that's what you want to do, protect yourselves otherwise. And I'm going to stop here and listen to all the other speakers who I'm sure have amazing things to say, and really hope that we continue this conversation. Hopefully we can find some modality where we meet maybe every 3-4 months sitting here in Ethiopia. Maybe it's one day you come and visit us and we can actually even take the Young Economists Network as a traveling process. We walk around the continent and meet each other and talk to each other. Only then again can we really begin to talk about one Africa and one economic Africa that rises together to meet the challenges of our continent, and particularly of you, the youth, for whom we need to find jobs and ensure that you continue to make this continent prosperous. Once again, thank you very much. And I look forward to listening to all of you and hearing you. Bienvenue, merci, obrigado, shukran, everything to everybody across the continent that is here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Executive Secretary, for sharing with us your excitement and your expectations, actually, from this network. Indeed, all of us wake up with a lot of questions in the morning, and I'm confident that with the role of this network, we will be able to provide some answers so that we can sleep more peacefully, at least for a few days. Thank you very much. You have also shared your excitement with the members of the network, and I'm sure that this will boost their energy and willingness to contribute. And I hope that it will also be seen as a call for others to join us from the same country or other parts of the continent. It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of AUDA NEPAD, and I give the floor. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Merci à vous. And let me congratulate you as the head of EDEP, which is an institution of excellence within a greater institution of excellence, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and really recognize all the leadership that Dr. Songwe is providing for the continent, and especially during these times. And recognize the fellow panelists and distinguished panelists. I have 10 minutes. I was about to make a statement, and then I thought I would be a bit provocative. And I'll just go through 3 points. The first one is about ideology, which is not a more grossier, like you would say in French. The second one is about strategy. And my third point would be about future. Why ideology? Ideology in the Webster Dictionary is a set of beliefs, and these beliefs can include practical elements and theoretical elements. And why am I referring to ideology? Because I tend to read a lot. I'm not an economist, but I read a lot of economics books. And I'll just take 3 examples of economists, Stiglitz, Douglas North, and Amartya Sen. You are much more knowledgeable of each one of them than I am, because all of you are economists. But when you are a policymaker, and let me put my place in the seat of a prime minister, and you imagine a discussion with Amartya Sen, you come out of it with the notion of capabilities, the issue of institutions, the issues of human rights, public goods, social values. You can frame your own ideology and try to see how it can be unpacked in terms of tools, in terms of vision, so that it is implementable. And then you move from Amartya Sen and you have a discussion with Stiglitz, and most of the discussion will be around structural transformation, industrialization, social capital, accumulated learning and experience. And then you frame another type of vision of what would be development. And you move from Stiglitz to Douglas North, and the substance of your discussion will be the increasing importance of institutions, incentive structures, enforcement mechanisms, and so on, and top-down and bottom-up institutions, and you frame another vision. So my take in this point is that it's very important for policymakers, when they engage with economists, to have a vision. If they don't have a vision, they are subjected to the imposition of a vision which is constructed somewhere else. My second point is about strategy. And I will refer to what some economists call the East Asian anomalies in reference to standard ideals, whether it is in property rights, where the standard ideal is private, enforced by the rule of law. And if you look at the East Asian pattern, it's private, but government authority overrides the law. And if you look at business and government relations domain, in the standard ideal, it's arm's length, it's rule-based, but in the East Asian pattern, it's really a close interaction. And when you look at labor markets, standard ideal is decentralized, deinstitutionalized, flexible labor markets. You look at East Asia, it's more a type of lifetime employment, even if it is being reduced, but lifetime employment in core enterprises like in Japan. So I talked about ideology and vision on the first point. Talking about strategy, I want to focus on the issue of a context. What really drove the East Asian patterns was the reference to a context. The context was fundamental. And I think Africa has a lot to learn of it, not in terms of miraculous formulas, but in terms of how well do we take into account the context. Karl Popper used to say, talk about piecemeal social engineering. And piecemeal social engineering is just taking ad hoc solutions according to the problems that we face. But piecemeal social engineering is not really the response strategically. So the knowledge of a context is fundamental. And I think that's where our young economists have to spend, I say it humbly, a lot of time and energy and put their passion into knowing their context, which is evidently based on evidence, data, and so on. But beyond that, it needs a type of interaction with the actors of a context. And sometimes these actors are not institutional actors. The span of actors is really very large. So my point 3 will be about the future. And let me congratulate warmly this initiative, because I think it will reduce the gap. The network of young economists will reduce the gap which exists between policymakers and these researchers, academics, and this gap has always been existent. It is being filled by institutions like UNECA, which makes accessible the knowledge that is constructed all over the world to African policymakers. But looking at the future, there are some issues that I think will need to be looked at carefully. For example, let me give just one example among many. There is a lot of talk about green industrialization. I've been trying to get into the unpacking of the concept in terms of tools, mechanism, processes, policies, and I really find it quite hard to do. And if I sit in the chair of a prime minister or a minister of economy who is not necessarily an economist, and I try to see what does green industrialization mean, we don't have time to go into the details, but I think it's a domain which needs a kind of unpacking. I'm just giving an example. I'm not citing it as a priority, but just as an example. And there are other examples, but need to be also framed. Second example is bottom-up processes of policy design, co-production of policies. I think we could wait from our young economists to give us tools that can help create these spaces of co-production of policies, where we see that the states and the governments, central governments, are more and more contested in their capacity to solve problems by the majority of our population, which is very young. So finding out how co-producing policies can be a solution by providing the necessary tools that can help co-produce policies, I think could be an issue also for the future. The issue of debt, evidently, because just one example, and then I'll touch the issue of domestic resource mobilization. And if we look at the African pension funds and sovereign wealth funds, assets under management, $1.3 billion. How much do they invest in Africa? Very little. Why don't they invest in Africa? Because they have a perception of risk which is very high, and they invest in Australia and the UK. This has to be changed. And as a CEO of a Texan pension fund told me, why do you want us to invest in Africa if your pension funds are not investing in Africa? So that's also that whole issue of de-risking, changing the perception. It's a domain also for the future that needs to be looked at. I've elapsed my 10 minutes. I will stop here. But in conclusion, I think policymakers need to have a vision. When Deng Xiaoping frames one country, two system, I was reading his biography, but Chinese economists, they scratch their head to say, okay, how are we going to implement it? But they have a vision to implement. Strategy, let's think about the context. And future, let's look at these notions and processes which are proposed, which we need to unpack so that they stick to our reality. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mayaki, for your intervention and your great contribution to this debate. Indeed, you very rightly told us that if we want to safely reach our destination, we need to know where exactly we want to end up. And this is about the vision that you have, the notion of the vision that you have developed. But also we need to know where we are starting from. And this is the contextualization of all our thinking and all our analysis linked to the necessity to have the reliable data. So I think that it is very important. What you told us is very important from a strategic point of view, and I'm sure our students, the members of the network will think about your recommendation about unpacking the various concepts, especially the new ones, so that we don't blindly jump into new analyses that may not be applicable and relevant to our network and our environment. With Dr. Songwe and Dr. Mayaki, we have had, I would say, a global approach of the issues at stake, and it is my pleasure now to give the floor to a very dynamic Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Her Excellency Mrs. from Egypt, who will give us her own perspective and contribution to this debate. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Marhaba.
Thank you. Thank you very much, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Cairo. And it gives me great pleasure to be among you today to take part in this high-level webinar organized by the UN ECA. And this dialogue actually gives us opportunity to reflect on the implication of the stability-oriented macroeconomic policies and practices for building resilient economies to shocks at national and sub-regional levels. With all what is happening worldwide and the pandemic that we all are witnessing, this has led to growing concerns regarding economic activity, regarding labor markets, financial markets, and international supply chains. Macroeconomic indicators have deteriorated, and poverty and unemployment rates have significantly increased. Despite the recovery and on the global economic indicators, however, we still are expecting or witnessing a state of uncertainty regarding the economic activity in different regions and in different countries. Africa's GDP is expected, as have been announced, to grow by about 3.4% in 2021 after a shrink by about 2.1% in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. This recovery will definitely mark the end of the worst recession that we have all passed through. However, Africa's macroeconomic indicators have also weakened due to the pandemic. There were some exchange rate fluctuations have been elevated. Some inflation that is happening all over the world has also affected our inflation rates in Africa. Therefore, there is an urgent need to set policies in order to accelerate the transformation for the continent to be more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable post-pandemic recovery. Also, the pandemic has emphasized the need for detailed, timely information on its evolving economic impacts, particularly for Africa, where data availability and lack of generalizable nowcasting methodologies sometimes limit the efforts for more coordinated policy responses. So the need for forecasting tools that do more than project the likely path of important economic indicators like inflation, output, or unemployment, but they also need tools that help them determine the economic implications on different changes that happens on monetary or fiscal policies. Therefore, it is of great importance that the ECA Young Economist Network seeks to create a peer learning and research platform to empower and engage all the new generations of skilled young macroeconomic modelers to champion macroeconomic modeling excellence, helping African countries achieve the goals of the 2030 and the 2063 agenda of Africa more efficiently. With the worldwide challenges post-pandemic recovery, there was a great call to build resilient economies. And one of the main weaknesses was keeping up was the issue of data revolution. In that regard, let me share with you what we have done in Egypt. We have taken the initiative and worked towards building a more resilient economy. In alignment with our 2030 agenda, Egypt's vision was formulated to take Egypt forward through the current decade. The vision is the national version of the UN SDGs, which is based on the principle of comprehensive sustainable development, balanced regional development, and also a participatory approach. The Agenda 2030 reflects the three dimensions of sustainable development: the economic dimension, the social dimension, and the environmental dimension. At the same time, we have passed through economic reform program. The first phase of the economic reform program, which was started in November 2016, this program had a clear aim of implementing a series of reform on the fiscal and on the monetary side. We liberalized the exchange rate, we rationalized the subsidies, and this wide range of reforms improved the investment climate and increased Egypt's competitiveness and, of course, help in restoring the investors' confidence. When we entered the COVID, the outcome of this reform helped us mitigate the impact of the pandemic on the economy. We had the fiscal space that helped us support different sectors in terms of giving them the financial support needed on different institutions, on the SME sector, and we helped also the irregular workers by providing cash transfers to a big number, over 6 million people of our irregular workers. In addition to that, the fiscal space helped us increase investment in the sectors that had priorities, like the health sector, like education and digitalization. So all this increase in investment that the country have targeted during the pandemic helped us in achieving growth 3.3% in 2021, despite the implication of the pandemic, and also helped us maintain unemployment rate of 7.5%, which is a very reasonable and decent unemployment rate regarding, although despite the pandemic. Also, in this first quarter of the year, the Egyptian economy achieved 9.8% in this first quarter. Getting out or in this phase of recovery, it was very important to choose the period of the pandemic and choose this as a good opportunity to work on the second phase of the reform, which we launched in 2021, focusing on basically raising the productive capacity of the Egyptian economy and the competitiveness of the economy and its inclusive growth through expanding the role of the private sector and upgrading the human capital. In addition to that, the government of Egypt established the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Egypt to embark on more effective and value-added partnership with the private sector, co-investing with domestic and international partners in order to create more job opportunities for Egypt's young population and preserve the rights of our future generations in different assets. The Sovereign Fund acts as an investment arm seeking to create and to transform different investment opportunities into investment products in promising high growth sectors like manufacturing, agriculture, logistics, as well as education and health, and most importantly, in different water desalination projects. The fund aims to monetize and unlock value from the country's immense and rich resources, most notably, of course, its geographical features, its heritage, and its talent. Traditionally, sovereign funds were associated, as you know, with countries enjoying a surplus of capital, primarily targeting distribution of economic resources. Indeed, most sovereign funds in African countries follow some of them follow this model. However, the sovereign fund of Egypt is built around a slightly different model, with its primary source of value being Egypt's abundant and valuable assets, which we aim to utilize, targeting financial profit with an awareness of economic and strategic balance. In an effort also to further enhance the economic resilience, the Egyptian economy is accelerating a green-driven recovery, which ensures equitable benefit to all economic sectors. We're hosting the COP27, so we're working very hard on accelerating a green-driven economy. We also issued, as you know, the first country to issue green bonds of a value of $750 million in order to mobilize resources for green projects. In alignment with the sustainable development agenda and various localization efforts in Egypt, there has been recently focus on using evidence-based research to guide policymakers. A prerequisite of evidence-based policy is the provision of a timely, easy, accessible, and accurate data. There are significant efforts and resources to invest and improve our data accessibility and enhance the quality of data. And a notable example of that was the launch of the first online data extraction system for the national accounts in Egypt, and it's accessible to all our young population. We also host a lot of young economists from different institutions in Egypt to have their internship at the Ministry of Planning. Moreover, our Center Agency for Statistics is the statistic that is authorized to collect, process, and analyze and disseminate statistical data, provide statistical surveys and data to strengthen the state's efforts to obtain database at the national level. It has a great local, regional, international reputation and have a lot of affiliation with different institutions in the Arab countries. In conclusion, let me say that the pandemic has reinforced the urgent need for timely data and signified the need for that data to be produced, analyzed, and shared within a strong data system. Due to more global uncertainty like the climate crisis, the data systems are essential, and the pandemic has highlighted the need to continue creating them in order to mitigate any crisis or any economic problems that the country face. In order to build a robust system for future crisis, collaboration is crucial, as it will build trust between the public and private sector and the civil society, academia, and also development partners in order to lay the foundation for future scaling up and flexibility when any country would face any challenges. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Shukran jazilan to you, Your Excellency, Mrs. Hala Al-Said, Minister of Planning and Economic Development of Egypt. Actually, you, Dr. Mayaki earlier started by saying that the starting point is a vision, and you very actually interestingly shared with us Egypt vision about where to go, how to go, and you also presented the means that you are giving yourselves to make sure that you reach your objectives. And I think that this is very interesting and will certainly be a source of inspiration to many members of this network. You also mentioned that recovery Africa-wide has started, but we need to work on its sustainability, because I mean the fragility and the vulnerability of our economies is still there, and we need to make sure that we are on the right path and leading to the right direction. So thank you very much for sharing this with us. It was very enlightening. All the panelists, ladies and gentlemen, have referred to the importance of financing our development, financing the recovery, and financing, as I was saying, the sustainability of the process. So I'm very happy to welcome now His Excellency, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who will develop with us, Mr. Goodwin Emefiele, who will develop for us the financial aspect and maybe many more. Your Excellency, you have the floor. We are happy to have you with us.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
We can hear you and even see you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency,
It's not clear.
I bring you one greeting from and the Central Bank. Let me state that it is.
We can't hear you very well. I don't know if it's just me, but.
No, it's not just you. The sound is not as good as we could expect it to be. So maybe try, if you can try to speak closer to the mic and make sure that the connection
is a bit more audible now.
Yes, it's much better, much better.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and your excellencies. I thank you for inviting me to this program this afternoon. I bring you warm greetings from Nigeria and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Let me state that it is an honor to be a part of this epoch-making event of looking ahead to building the very important human capital that will drive the African economy in the future. The global economy has been fraught with significant uncertainties, which requires critical thinking and economic models to develop the evolutions of these events and develop appropriate toolkits to handle the challenges caused by these uncertainties. Macroeconomic instability is a major challenge for policymakers in making choices. It requires frequent monitoring and reviews of the underlying developments in an economy with complete knowledge of such events and credible data for efficient policymaking. The role of macroeconomic model in dealing with policy challenges cannot be overemphasized, and I'm happy that this network has decided to take the great initiative of building a resourceful network of young economists in the region to ensure that we develop great minds that will take macroeconomic modeling to a higher level. Let me inform you all that the Central Bank of Nigeria places great premium on macroeconomic policy modeling. Apart from continuously recruiting well-trained economists with background in policy modeling, we have a dedicated macroeconomic modeling division within the Central Bank of Nigeria with over 8 trained economists, one of the very few central banks in the African region with such important division to ensure credible and meaningful forecasts of key macroeconomic and financial variables. We have supported other central banks, including the Central Bank of Liberia, to establish their macroeconomic modeling unit in a hands-on training of its economists in this area. Let me add that we are willing to continue to support more institutions within our continent to achieve the same goals of building their macroeconomic tools. For purposes of this new network, the Central Bank of Nigeria will support this great initiative and ensure that our staff and young students from Nigeria participate actively. I want to thank you all for your attention and look forward to playing an active role in meeting the overall goals that led to the establishment of this network. So I thank you again for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor, for your encouraging words and for your commitment actually to working on supporting macroeconomic modeling together with the academia environment in Nigeria. Actually, as EDEP, we tap a lot into these skills and minds as we have a number of resource persons coming from Nigeria, and we value very much your experience in this regard. And I'm very happy also to hear that you have been involved in cooperation with other countries and trying to have a harmonized approach to these questions in your country and throughout the region and in the continent. So definitely your experience is of value to all our participants, and thanks again for making the time for being with us and conveying your greetings to the launch of this network. C'est maintenant mon plaisir d'introduire Monsieur Dramane Coulibaly. Comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, c'est un chercheur de haut niveau qui travaille en France et donc qui représente ce qu'on appelle communément la 6e région du continent, puisque dans le cadre de ce réseau, et Madame Vera Songwe l'a très bien dit tout à l'heure, notre objectif est d'utiliser toutes les potentialités et toutes les dynamiques qui peuvent apporter quelque chose à la réflexion sur le développement du continent. Et nous sommes heureux d'avoir aujourd'hui professeur Dramane Coulibaly qui va nous présenter sa vision du thème dont nous débattons. Professeur, vous avez la parole.
Il n'y a pas le son. Il n'y a pas le son.
Ah, il passe.
OK, c'est bon.
Ah, c'est bon, OK.
Maintenant, nous vous voyons et vous entendons.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be with you today. I will speak in French. Okay. Bonjour, Excellences, bonjour, Madame, Messieurs les participants. C'est un honneur pour moi d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui. Je remercie la Commission économique pour l'Afrique de cette initiative du réseau des jeunes économistes africains. Donc, comme on a 10 minutes, mon intervention va bien sûr être courte. Comme ça a été mentionné par les précédents panélistes, donc la crise sanitaire a révélé l'extrême vulnérabilité des pays africains et surtout la nécessité d'accélérer leur transformation structurelle. Et une des causes de cette vulnérabilité est l'endettement externe, important notamment en devises étrangères. Par ailleurs, la crise a montré aussi la mauvaise qualité des instruments pour la consolidation budgétaire ou fiscale et la stabilisation macroéconomique. Mon intervention va porter sur les 2 points suivants qui sont tirés des conclusions du rapport que j'ai rédigé sur les perspectives économiques et régionales d'Afrique de l'Ouest et pour la Banque africaine de développement. Le premier point, c'est le développement des marchés domestiques et des capitaux pour le financement du développement économique, tout en limitant l'endettement externe en devises étrangères. Et le second point portera sur le développement des instruments pour la consolidation budgétaire et la stabilisation macroéconomique. Concernant le premier point sur le développement des marchés domestiques des capitaux pour financer le développement en Afrique, hein, tout en limitant l'endettement externe en devises. On sait qu'à cause du manque de profondeur, disons, des marchés domestiques et régionaux des capitaux, les pays africains s'endettent beaucoup en devises étrangères sur les marchés internationaux des capitaux qu'on appelle couramment les eurobonds. Par conséquent, les pays africains sont devenus très vulnérables aux fluctuations des taux de change, car le remboursement de leurs dettes dépend bien sûr de l'évolution du taux de change. Donc, on peut dire que pour mieux mobiliser l'épargne domestique, l'épargne interne en Afrique, et tout en réduisant la part de l'endettement en devises et l'endettement externe en devises étrangères, les pays africains devraient approfondir leur marché des capitaux. Et cela, bien sûr, peut être facilité à travers une intégration régionale des marchés domestiques. Et par ailleurs, le développement de ces marchés domestiques des capitaux devrait être associé, disons, d'un encouragement des émissions d'obligations à destination de la diaspora. Comme on a dit, toutes les solutions sont les bienvenues. Donc, on sait que surtout à cause des taux de rémunération de l'épargne très faibles dans les pays développés, les transferts de la diaspora peuvent être une source importante et stable pour financer le développement économique de l'Afrique, bien sûr, tout en réduisant la part de l'endettement externe dans la dette publique en Afrique. Donc, je vais maintenant parler du second point sur le développement des instruments pour la consolidation budgétaire et la stabilisation macroéconomique. Au cours des 2 dernières décennies, pour faciliter la stabilisation macroéconomique tout en garantissant la viabilité budgétaire, beaucoup de pays africains ont adopté ce qu'on appelle les cadres de programmation budgétaire pluriannuels recommandés par les fonds monétaires internationaux. Ces cadres budgétaires n'ont pas marché dans beaucoup de pays à cause de certaines lacunes, comme la mauvaise qualité des données macroéconomiques collectées et une capacité limitée à faire de la prévision et de la mobilisation macroéconomique. Et par conséquent, il est impératif d'améliorer la collecte des données macroéconomiques, de développer les capacités de prévision et de modélisation macroéconomique, surtout en investissant dans les capitaux humains adéquats. Et à cet égard, bien sûr, le réseau des jeunes économistes de la Commission économique pour l'Afrique est une bonne initiative. Et pour renforcer, je vais encore parler de la diaspora, pour renforcer la capacité d'analyse et de modélisation économique, la Commission économique pour l'Afrique, à travers ce réseau, pourrait saisir l'opportunité offerte par la diaspora africaine en Europe ou aux États-Unis. Je peux donner un exemple qui confirme cette opportunité. Le professeur Avom, qui est un membre scientifique, un membre du comité scientifique, a eu l'initiative de monter une école doctorale en sciences économiques à l'université de Tchang au Cameroun, au moment où il était le doyen de la faculté d'économie de cette université. Il faisait intervenir des chercheurs d'origine africaine en Europe et aux États-Unis, dont moi-même, pour former les jeunes doctorants. Au bout de seulement 4 ans, les jeunes docteurs qu'on a formés sont capables aujourd'hui de publier dans les meilleures revues internationales en sciences économiques. Donc, je termine mon intervention. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, professeur Coulibaly, pour votre intervention. Vous avez parlé de l'endettement et des solutions à sa réduction. Et je suis persuadée que les pistes de réflexion que vous avez données vont donner de la matière à réflexion à tous les membres de notre réseau qui vont certainement réagir aux idées que vous avez développées. et je suis persuadée qu'ils liront avec beaucoup d'intérêt le document que vous avez, le rapport que vous avez produit et qui, je suis persuadée, peut être mis à la disposition de tous les membres du réseau. Donc, merci encore une fois de votre participation au débat. Mesdames et messieurs, ce réseau n'existe que par ses membres. Et je suis ravie maintenant de pouvoir passer à une autre partie de cette session de lancement en donnant la parole aux membres du réseau qui vont parler à partir, je dirais, de leurs régions respectives, pas encore au nom de leur région, puisque les communications et les échanges entre les membres du réseau sont à construire et nous comptons sur vous pour qu'elles se fassent de manière rapide. Je vois déjà dans le chat qu'il y a des propositions d'utilisation des nouvelles technologies pour améliorer la communication et les échanges entre les différents membres. Mais nous avons choisi de donner la parole à 5 participants. Donc, je vais maintenant donner la parole à Ensaf Guedidi de l'Université de Tunis qui nous vient de la région Afrique du Nord. Madame Guedidi, vous avez la parole.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts and sharing your accomplishments. Je suis très heureuse de faire partie de ces réseaux. On a déjà commencé, il y a une plateforme maintenant, il y a un cours qui a déjà commencé sur la modélisation macroéconomique et tout. Mes attentes, c'est en fait tout d'abord de connaître les autres membres de réseau et collaborer ensemble sur des projets de recherche et comment utiliser les données sur l'Afrique, comment développer de bases de données et tout ça. Et je pense que il y a beaucoup à faire avec cette initiative. Et surtout, ça tombe bien dans l'objectif des agendas, que ce soit de l'agenda de l'Union africaine ou l'agenda des États-Unis. C'est pour encourager la recherche, pour travailler sur les questions de l'environnement, de la macromodélisation, de l'économie, la pauvreté et tout ça. Et pourquoi pas, on peut développer des projets pour encourager l'intégration de continents africains et tout ça. Donc, merci pour cette opportunité. Voilà.
Merci, Ensaf. Peut-être en quelques phrases nous dire quels sont vos domaines de recherche et votre contribution potentielle à ce réseau.
D'accord, oui. En fait, je suis une doctorante en 4e année de thèse et je travaille sur le commerce international, exactement sur le chaîne de valeur mondiale et l'intégration et tout ça. Donc, j'ai déjà contribué à des recherches sur l'Afrique, l'intégration, la digitalisation et tout ça. Donc, voilà.
Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous.
Merci.
Our next speaker is coming from the Southern African part of the continent, from the University of Cape Town. Mr. Zenzi Pala, you have the floor. Are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello and bonjour to everybody. I'm very happy to be part of this network and very excited to see so many participants from all over Africa. I mean, especially that, with the COVID happening and all of the remote working, it's really nice to have an opportunity to just get together and engage with people from all over the continent, which I'm so passionate about. I'm passionate about the continent, I'm passionate about economics, and yeah, I'm very happy to be part of this, this network.
Thank you very much, Zenzi, and thank you for sharing your enthusiasm, and we are happy to welcome you in this family, new family. Just maybe one word about your area of interest and your work.
Okay, I'm currently completing my master's in economic science at the University of Cape Town, and I will be embarking on my PhD, which I'm very excited about. And that'll be in the area of gender sensitive macro modeling. So macro modeling is notorious for being male dominated. However, through the YEN program, the ECA seems to be actively changing this by not only like sourcing and training and developing young talented women across Africa, but also it's giving us an opportunity to share our unique knowledge and insight through research opportunities, which have often been lacking in the field. I also want to mention that I'm very happy about the program structure, because this is cognizant of the fact that women often bear the brunt of unpaid work, childcare, elderly care, as well as other household responsibilities. And by making the program flexible, it's allowing more women to participate in the program in a way that will enable them to balance those responsibilities. And in terms of how this program, how I think that the program is going to benefit or help my research capacity building, I believe that it's really going to develop my critical analysis skills regarding working with complex data and learning to produce reliable, high quality disaggregated data. I also believe it's going to strengthen my technical and empirical skills through training in both fundamental as well as cutting edge techniques, statistical, econometric, as well as machine learning techniques. And I also think it's going to improve my conceptualization of the problems on the continent, as well as how to address them. Additionally, by providing access to the most qualified lecturers, mentors, and fellow participants on the continent, it's going to enable all of us to develop into high-quality researchers and to use our research to inform actionable policy that will bring our countries closer to achieving both the Sustainable Development Goals as well as the aspirations of Agenda 2063 for sustainable and inclusive African development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanzi, for this testimony, and we are delighted to hear, and I'm sure that the team of professors and resource persons would be delighted to hear that you find the program very enriching and inspiring, actually, in connection with the work that you are doing. Thank you again for being with us today. Je voudrais maintenant donner la parole à Madame Mathilde Enouga, qui nous vient du Cameroun et qui donc est là pour la partie centrale du continent. Elle nous vient de l'université de Yaoundé 2. Mathilde, à vous.
Oui, je suis bien là. Honorables panélistes, mesdames et messieurs, en vos rangs et grades respectifs, permettez-moi de saluer cette brillante initiative de la Commission économique pour l'Afrique visant à mettre sur pied une plateforme regroupant de jeunes économistes africains afin d'améliorer leurs compétences en matière de modélisation macroéconomique. En termes de recherche, dans le cadre de mes activités futures, je pense que le réseau serait une niche de collaboration entre nous, jeunes chercheurs, afin de concevoir des travaux de haute facture en lien avec l'actualité économique du continent. En ce qui concerne le renforcement de capacités, en tant que jeune universitaire, je pense que je pourrais tout au long de ma carrière retransmettre les compétences acquises tout au long de ce programme à des étudiants à travers des séminaires de formation ou à toute autre personne désireuse de maîtriser les contours de la modélisation macroéconomique. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Mathilde. Vous pouvez peut-être vous éloigner un petit peu de l'écran, que nous voyons le beau t-shirt que vous portez. Bravo! Bravo, bravo pour porter haut et fort le flambeau du réseau et pour votre volonté. Merci, Mathilde. Vous pouvez vous rasseoir.
Je vous en prie.
Pour votre volonté, en fait, de partage, puisque c'est exactement ce que nous souhaitons faire avec ce réseau, que les membres du réseau deviennent les ambassadeurs des réflexions qui vont être menées et qui peuvent disséminer en fait les résultats de leurs analyses, puisque nous ne considérons pas cela comme un environnement fermé, mais au contraire un environnement ouvert sur notre environnement. Et entre vous chercheurs, entre vous étudiants, entre vous enseignants, mais également avec, et le docteur Mayaki l'a très bien dit tout à l'heure, avec les décideurs au niveau de nos pays pour que justement leurs décisions soient basées sur les réflexions que vous allez mener et les idées et recommandations que vous allez partager avec eux. Et le débat d'idées est ce à quoi nous aspirons avec ce réseau. Merci encore, Mathilde.
Je vous remercie.
Now we are moving to the Western African part of the continent with Charles Ayobola from the University of Lagos. Charles, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Please, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Our protocols duly observed. Thank you so much for the opportunity given to me to talk about the ECA-YEN network. I'd like to say that it's one of it's a very beautiful opportunity given to us young researchers because anything that builds capacity, especially when women are involved, when a woman is built, a nation is built. And I want to believe that this this ECA-YEN network is an opportunity to build women, especially women who are interested in macro modeling research. And when a woman is built, like I said earlier, and the nation is built, and also by building our capacity in the areas of research, economic research, we are able to not only impact our nation, we are also able to impact the continent. And when our continent is impacted positively, then of course the world is also impacted positively. So it's a good initiative. It's a beautiful initiative. Thank you so much, ECA-YEN Network, for putting this together. And thank you also for the opportunity given to me and all young researchers, in Africa. And I know that when our capacity is being built in the area of macro modeling, I know that the future or the set goals, the 2030 goals and the 2063 goal will definitely be achieved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Charles, and thank you for your optimism. And I'm sure that your work actually will contribute to a very optimistic approach of African development. Can you turn your camera on just we can see you? Is it possible?
Yes, please.
Hi, Charles. Nice to see you, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for recognizing the role of the network. And you have heard His Excellency, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, saying how he was relying on the work of the academia in your country. So please do not hesitate to share your views and the result of your research. So thank you very much. Now we are moving to the eastern part of the continent with the University of Rwanda, and Mrs. Edith Misio will be taking the floor. Edith, are you with us? Are you connected? Edith? Is Edith with us? Yes, I see her. Yes, no, this is Charles. Edith is connected, but we can't hear you, Edith. Can you please unmute yourself and put your camera on, Edith Mithio? Can the technical team let us know whether she is connected? I can see her in the list of participants, but I can't hear her. All right, so maybe we can give her the floor later on. Actually, as EDEP, the main area of focus of our courses, our capacity development program and research program this year was focusing on the youth. And I'm very happy that with the YEN, actually, we are moving forward with a great recognition of the role of the youth in Africa's agenda. At the same time, I wanted to reassure our male members from the network that we have chosen to give the floor to women participants today because in general, they are not visible. And we thought that giving them more visibility and giving visibility to their contribution to the network would be a good way of promoting women participation in Africa's scientific research and thinking. Let me-
I'm going to interrupt you a little bit, Karima, and I'm going to ask Santos Nessas. I don't know who Santos Nessas is, but Santos wants to speak because he is complaining that it's only women speaking. So let's put him on the screen and let him tell us what he wants to do.
Okay. I was just saying that there was no discrimination, but just actually trying to give more visibility to the women. So who did you say?
Mr. Santos, I think he's Santos Bia.
Santos Bia. Santos Bia, do you want to take the floor?
Going once, going twice.
No, I can't see him.
See, they say that the youth should ask for their place, but when you ask, you have to wait to take it as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can speak, he says. He's responding. He says, I'm not sure if I can speak. Maybe we need to undo his mic.
Maybe he needs to be allowed to use his mic. Can the technical team do that? Because all the participants do not have all the same rights. So can the technical team give the authorization to Mr. Santos so that he can join us and share his experience?
Keep going while he comes on.
Yes. Actually, it was the end of the participation and testimonies from the members of the network, and the idea was to move to the launch of the Africa Day. But let me do a final check with Edith Musio from Rwanda. Edith, are you with us? Do you want to take the floor? Apparently she can't.
Edith is having a connection problem. That's what she told me.
Okay. So
there's somebody else from the University of Rwanda who said they would love to speak.
Evariste, are you allowed to take the floor? I'm not sure. I'm seeing a lot of hands up, but can the technical team allow Santos or Evariste to take the floor? But again, I want to reassure you, this is a gender balanced approach and no discrimination can be allowed. I'm seeing that, a number of participants are willing to take the floor, but maybe I can ask you to just write your comments in the chat, as the platform has been set so that only those who have been identified as panelists can take the floor. And I'm not seeing actually any move from the technical team. I don't know whether this can be done, but I'm seeing
we have allowed everyone who have raised their hands to speak. Maybe they can take orders and then speak. Thank you.
Okay, so let me go to those who have asked for the floor. I'm seeing Senol Tantia.
Senol Tantia, je suis là.
Oui, Senol.
Merci. Merci. OK. Merci beaucoup pour la parole que vous m'accordez. Je suis Senol Tandia à partir de l'université de Kisangani en République démocratique du Congo. Alors personnellement, je suis le plus heureux. Je suis le plus heureux de cette occasion qui nous est offerte pour que nous puissions approfondir notre savoir, mais également notre savoir-faire dans les domaines de l'économie. Et ce qui est beaucoup plus intéressant, c'est le fait que ce programme essaie un peu de démystifier l'économétrie. Là, je parle principalement de la modélisation macroéconomique, qui est un outil indispensable pour la prise de décision. Alors, je suis pour l'instant inscrit au doctorant et je suis en train de travailler sur les leviers d'une performance économique optimale pour le pays moins avancé. Et j'espère qu'à travers la formation que je vais recevoir de cette plateforme, ça va vraiment m'aider à pouvoir réaliser ma thèse avec beaucoup plus de pertinence. C'est pourquoi je tiens également à saisir cette occasion pour féliciter les initiateurs, mais également demander à ceux-là qui vont assurer les cours que nous sommes vraiment attentifs et nous sommes vraiment excités à les suivre vraiment à chaque étape. Et ça sera vraiment une très bonne chose pour l'Afrique. Et nous comptons vraiment sur la formation qu'ils vont nous offrir. Et pour qu'il y ait plus de compréhension, la pratique sera vraiment indispensable. La pratique devra vraiment être associée à tout ce qu'on va nous apprendre et ça sera vraiment capital. Nous vous en remercions sincèrement de tout cœur et je suis heureux de rencontrer toute la grande famille. Nous constituons déjà une famille et j'espère que grâce à nous, l'Afrique va pouvoir être aspirée vers les hauts, spécialement grâce à la formation qu'on va recevoir. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Sénold. Je vais à présent donner la parole à Eric Fombi. Eric?
Oui, Karima?
Oui. Eric en mute. Donc, ce réseau est un réseau de chercheurs. Évidemment, la majorité des membres sont des membres, des étudiants, mais ces étudiants sont également encadrés par des équipes pédagogiques. Donc, je voudrais peut-être donner la parole, s'il peut la prendre, au professeur Nabil Jedlan. Nabil?
Oui, bonjour.
Oui, allez-y.
D'accord. Bonjour tout le monde. Donc, j'ai tenu à prendre la parole parce que je tiens à remercier la CA pour ce travail magnifique et cet effort en peu de temps, cet effort très, très, très particulier. Remercie Son Excellence Madame Vera Song, la secrétaire exécutive de la CA, mais également Madame Karima Ben Sultan, la directrice de l'EDEP, et toute l'équipe qui a fait que ce projet voit le jour aujourd'hui. Moi, je crois, et j'ai l'honneur et le plaisir de faire partie de son comité scientifique, parce que je vois dans ce projet une nouvelle chance et opportunité pour notre cher continent, l'Afrique. Pourquoi? Parce que si je veux donner un exemple, je vais donner directement un exemple. Moi, je fais partie de ceux qui croient que le développement de l'Afrique passera forcément par le renforcement de son intégration, que ce soit continentale, au niveau régional ou sous-régional. Et je crois que parmi les défauts des politiques d'intégration au niveau africain et au niveau des pays africains, c'est qu'ils manquent de prérequis, c'est qu'ils ne sont pas très bien préparés. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il n'y a pas en général, les pays n'ont pas fait d'études d'impact avant, pas tous les pays, mais plusieurs d'entre eux ne font pas d'études d'impact par manque, malheureusement, de moyens humains et moyens techniques. Et voilà, ce projet pour moi, permettrait à ces pays d'avoir ces moyens-là pour pouvoir préparer et se préparer mieux à faire face à cette ouverture qui est bénéfique pour notre continent, pour ces pays-là, mais qui doivent être accompagnés par un certain nombre de politiques, notamment politiques de formation, etc. Et donc, je crois que former des jeunes doctorants, des jeunes étudiants africains, c'est déjà noble en soi, mais les former pour devenir des modélisateurs, je crois que c'est excellent. J'appellerai aussi, et j'aimerais bien appeler nos pouvoirs publics au niveau du continent africain à prendre cette initiative comme exemple et comme modèle pour la dupliquer au niveau national. Pourquoi pas? Bon, en l'adaptant bien sûr aux besoins nationaux, mais également en continuant ce travail magnifique, en exploitant ces nouvelles ressources que nous propose l'IDEP. Félicitations, Madame Karima, félicitations, Madame Son Excellence la secrétaire générale de la CEA pour ce travail, et je souhaite une très bonne formation, un très bon cours pour nos étudiants et nos futurs responsables africains. Bonne chance et bonne continuation. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Dr. Jadlen, pour votre contribution. I'm seeing Davy or Davy. Davy, are you still with us? Please go ahead. Unmute yourself. You are not. So I'm going back to Eric Fobi. Eric.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Director. Good morning. Are you getting me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you. Oui, on t'entend.
Okay, good. Thank you. I want to say good morning to His Excellency Dr. Bera Songwe and other member of government that are attending this meeting. I'm very happy to be part of the meeting, and I think that it is an opportunity for all of us Africans, first of all, to have a database of all economists, since our continent is having a really good problem in terms of skills in economic domain, and that is also an opportunity for us to share our experience. If even most of us are students, are professionals, they still have something to share, something to learn. So I am very, very happy for this type of occasion, and I will do my best to help the network moving forward and in a very good way. So that's what I can just say from this point. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself, and I wish good luck to this initiative. Thank you, Mr. Director.
Thank you very much, Eric, for being with us today and for continuing actually to be with us today, since you are a previous fellow and you have been associated with a number of activities of EDEP, and this, I think, will give you also a special approach to the network. I've seen Jocelyn, and I'll take 2 additional comments, and we will stop here because we do not have the necessary time. Jocelyn, are you still with us?
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour Jocelyne Zontam.
Je salue tous les participants à cette cérémonie de lancement des activités donc, de la Commission économique de l'Afrique. Et moi, je suis de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, particulièrement le Bénin. Et je suis très contente de participer à ce réseau. Et je suis sûre que ce réseau, avec les cours que je suivrai, les expériences que j'échangerai avec mes pairs, renforceront mes capacités en macroéconomie, pour les mettre à la disposition, donc à la contribution donc, de mon cher pays, le Bénin, de l'Afrique et du monde. Je suis très pressée de connaître les autres membres de ce réseau et je voudrais savoir si, en dehors donc, des mails que nous recevons dans nos diverses boîtes, si nous pouvons échanger aussi par un forum WhatsApp. C'est ma préoccupation. Je vous remercie.
Merci Jocelyne. Il y a une plateforme en cours de construction qui va permettre à tous les membres de communiquer, mais j'ai vu que certains parmi vous, friands des nouvelles technologies, ont déjà proposé une plateforme et mis en place des moyens de communication. Donc, nous allons vous revenir là-dessus pour savoir quelles sont les différentes possibilités. The last one will be Evariste. I'll have Evariste, and maybe I've seen a request for the floor, but I can't identify the person because it is a number. So we'll start with Evariste. Evariste, please. Evariste, are you with us? So we have.
He's asking to be unmuted. I think he's there, but he's asking that we be unmuted.
But
can somebody unmute him? He just typed unmute me, please.
Yeah. I think that I understood that all those who requested the floor would be given the right to speak. So colleagues from the technical team, can we have Evariste?
Yes, thank you very much for the floor.
Good.
I'm very happy to be a part of this broad network, a young economist network from Rwanda. So greetings from University of Rwanda. We are very happy to be part of this great network, and I would say this network came at right time when we needed to be to contribute as youth to the macroeconomic modeling and evidence-based research in our countries, and as a master's student of applied quantitative economics at University of Rwanda. So we are aware that now our countries, our central banks are in need of adopting new macroeconomic models, and we were looking for the platforms from where we can get the relevant skills to help to contribute to this. And I'm very happy that this network came just to help us then up-level ourselves and then contribute to the development of our countries and our continent. So I'm very happy to be part of this, and I'm ready to contribute anything needed to have this grown to the other level. Thank you so much from Rwanda.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing, I said you would be the last one, but there are so many hands up, it is difficult to stop. But I was seeing a request from Malawi, the Ministry of Economic Planning, and we were saying that one of our objectives is to connect the academia to the public sectors and to all the stakeholders. So maybe Malawi, who is requesting for the floor, Ministry of Economic Planning, do you want to take the floor? while Malawi is granted the access to the mic, let me check whether 8163940737 is able to take the floor and maybe to know more about who is behind this. Okay, colleagues from the technical team, how can we ensure that those who want to take the floor can be? I don't know, yes, how long you will be able to stay, for how long you will be able to stay with us, not for too long. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think but for everybody as well, I think just to be, we have run quite long. Maybe next time we will make it long enough so that people can talk a little bit more,
yes.
But just to be respectful of everybody else's time.
Exactly. Actually, as we said, this was the launch, the official launch, but it will be followed by a number of activities and meetings. We'll try to have more friendly technologies, because I understand that we have had a limitation in terms of number of people who could join us. We thought that we could go up to 1,000, but apparently it may not have been the case. So apologies for those, and please share our apologies for those who have not been able to join. And next time we will make sure that we prepare ourselves so that all those who want to take the floor and add their voice to the debate can be allowed to do so. But again, the chat is open to everybody. Do not hesitate to use it and to tell us what you wanted to say. The final element of this meeting is actually an announcement by the Executive Secretary of the ECA to make this day the annual African Macroeconomic Modeling Day, so that once a year we know that we have a rendezvous. We know that we can all meet to further discuss the issues relating to macroeconomic modeling in the continent, to maybe take stock of the progress made by the network and its members, to see what were the connections that were made, what are the partnerships that have been established. I have seen in the chat that when our 5 presenters from the various sub-regions were presenting their work, we have had reactions saying that other people were working on similar issues, and I think that we can create a lot of synergy, compare notes, check the findings, etc. So it is my pleasure now to call Mrs. Dr. Vera Songwe to tell us how she sees this day and this annual rendezvous. Dr. Songwe, you have the floor, please.
Karima, je vais peut-être commencer en disant un peu rapidement en français, peut-être pour ceux qui parlent un peu français. Une fois de plus, combien je suis ravie de voir tout le monde qui est là. Aujourd'hui, les étudiants, les doctorants, des professeurs, professeur Darmanin Coulibaly, merci beaucoup pour votre présence et le fait que vous êtes restés. Nous avons vu évidemment aussi les membres de nos gouvernements du Nigeria et de l'Égypte. Je veux encore une fois de plus remercier Madame la ministre et évidemment Monsieur le gouverneur de la Banque centrale du Nigeria pour avoir été avec nous. Le professeur Mayaki, évidemment, un penseur sur le continent. Je pense que nous avons décidé un peu de dédier cette journée. Je ne sais pas si on avait, je crois que c'était le deuxième ou le troisième, le deuxième mardi de tout le mois de décembre, comme le Macroeconomic Modeling Day, on a dit deuxième mardi de tous les mois de décembre, comme ça, on ne dit pas le 7 décembre et puis c'est un dimanche. Donc, ça serait toujours un mardi en décembre où on va essayer de se réunir tous ensemble pour voir. Mais entre-temps, je crois qu'il y a 2 ou 3 choses que nous aimerons peut-être faire, peut-être avec vous, essayer de voir si on peut avoir peut-être des réunions trimestrielles tous les 2-3 mois pour voir un peu sur quoi vous travaillez, pour voir si nous, à la CEA, nous avons peut-être quelques idées ou quelques questions qu'on se pose. Si peut-être nous travaillons sur des pays bien spécifiques, réunir quelques étudiants autour d'un pays, ou par exemple, je pense qu'il y avait madame qui a parlé, Zenzi Pala, qui a parlé du gender-based modeling, peut-être réunir tout le monde qui s'intéresse pour voir un peu sur quoi vous êtes en train de travailler, quel est votre travail. Nous aimerons peut-être sur le site de la CEA créer un page web où peut-être on pourrait peut-être éventuellement mettre vos travaux, vos blogs sur les questions. Une fois de plus, ça sera vraiment un réseau économique, pas politique, pas socio-économique. On va se poser des questions, par exemple, sur comment mesurer l'emploi dans un système dynamique, comment trouver des équilibres macroéconomiques quand on a introduit les questions de la gouvernance. Donc vraiment, j'aimerais que ça reste scientifique. J'aimerais que nous posons la question. Comme nous le savons tous sur notre continent, très souvent, on a tendance à divaguer un peu vers d'autres horizons, mais nous aimerions vraiment créer un réseau économique pour les économies. C'est vrai qu'aujourd'hui, nous sommes en train de parler de la macroéconomie, mais on a toute, moi, je suis une étudiante de la théorie des prix, donc il y a tout un autre domaine de la microéconomie, au fait, qui commence à rejoindre un peu les marchés, la théorie de marché, la théorie des assurances et toute cette des aléatoires. Et donc, je pense aujourd'hui, oui, c'est vrai, on parle de la macroéconomie parce que c'est un peu cela qui modèle un peu la croissance de nos économies. Mais évidemment, il y a toute cette microéconomie qui doit s'ajouter. Et donc, si jamais il y a des gens qui sont intéressés aussi dans ce domaine, moi, je viens de faire un papier sur la théorie du capitalisme et sur le fait que la monnaie est devenue aujourd'hui une autre atout. Et donc, on n'utilise pas la monnaie pour créer la richesse, on utilise la monnaie pour s'enrichir automatiquement. Donc, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire le capitalisme aujourd'hui dans notre monde? Je crois que c'est toutes ces réflexions dont nous aurons besoin pour voir un peu quelles sont les politiques et les orientations de nos citoyens, de nos leaders et de nos dirigeants. Et donc, une fois de plus, vraiment, je suis ravie. J'espère que chaque fois que nous tous de la CEA, nous viendrons dans vos pays différents, nous aurons peut-être l'opportunité de nous rapprocher de ces universités. On va faire une liste de toutes les universités qui sont présentes ici aujourd'hui et peut-être de ceux qui seront, qui vont nous rejoindre dans le futur. Et peut-être chaque fois que tous les directeurs, les directrices, les managers de la CEA viennent dans vos pays, on peut se réunir ensemble pour parler, pour avoir une soirée de réflexion. Très souvent, quand nous arrivons dans vos pays, on passe la soirée, peut-être en parlant de votre économie, sans vous, peut-être que ça serait l'occasion peut-être d'avoir certaines de ces échanges et de voir encore, une fois de plus, comment est-ce que nous pouvons améliorer les politiques publiques et privées d'ailleurs, mais surtout publiques que prennent nos dirigeants sur le continent. Donc, je veux vous remercier sur la journée macroéconomique. Je veux aussi remercier la comité scientifique. Ce n'est pas encore tout fait, c'est pour ça peut-être que nous n'avons pas encore donné tous les noms de qui sont les membres du comité scientifique. Peut-être on peut se revoir à la fin du mois de janvier dans ce cadre pour un peu en parler et voir comment est-ce que nous commençons nos travaux. Parce que ce n'est pas juste une raison pour parler, on va devoir travailler tous les 2 mois, on va devoir publier des choses, on va devoir sortir quelques éléments de réflexion. Donc, d'ici 2 mois, on va vous envoyer quelques questions d'ici la fin de la semaine, quelques sujets, et peut-être qu'en fin janvier, on aurait encore l'occasion de se rencontrer et peut-être avoir des débats. Comme ça, vous connaissez, je suis déjà très émue de voir qu'il y a déjà des gens qui commencent à parler avec Zenzi, avec Issaf, en disant « je travaille sur le même thème, pourquoi nous ne pouvons pas travailler ensemble ?» Donc, sans plus tarder, je veux aussi, encore une fois de plus, vraiment remercier l'équipe sur le leadership de Karima, mais toute l'équipe de IDEP. Thierry, as you know, where is Thierry? Thierry, we didn't see your face today. You have to come up because this was a random conversation between Thierry and I that led to this amazing initiative. And Thierry was a believer. It takes an idea and then it takes somebody who can actually go out there and do it. And I think Thierry is the one who did it. Or at least began to believe in it. So Thierry, I really want to thank you very much for running with it. And everybody else, all the professors that worked on us. So Thierry, I will give you the last word. And this is a dream, but dreams, then we need to, you dream high enough it happens, and then you have to implement. To implement, we need all of us. We need all of us to do this. So hopefully you stay with this initiative and we can walk forward together. Over to you, Thierry.
Merci, IS. Je pense que on va pas dire qu'on est excité, mais on est au début d'un parcours. C'est un voyage et nous devons célébrer cette journée, effectivement, qui nous donne la clé pour cette route. Et je pense que ce qui est très intéressant dans ce voyage, c'est que d'une manière instantanée, la plupart des plus grandes universités du continent africain ont vu l'importance de ce réseau, de cette opportunité. Et réellement, ils se sont engagés dans ce processus. Ils nous ont envoyé la liste. Il y a des universités qui ont rappelé pour dire est-ce qu'on peut encore envoyer plusieurs autres étudiants. Il y a certains qui ont envoyé des noms de la dominance femme, ainsi de suite. C'est pour vous dire que ça, c'est un outil et un bébé qu'il faut que vraiment, il faut qu'on y prenne vraiment soin. Et je pense avoir l'engouement autour de ce processus et aussi des enseignants, des professeurs émérites de la diaspora qui sont prêts, qui sont vraiment disposés pour donner leur temps. Il y a des recteurs d'université au niveau de l'Afrique, au niveau du Malawi, au niveau de l'Afrique du Sud, qui sont aussi prêts pour participer au comité scientifique. Je pense que c'est une opportunité. Nous venons de lancer un processus. On est au départ. Je viens de le dire à quelqu'un, à un des enseignants du corps professoral, pour dire que maintenant, il faut aller au résultat. Et je suis sûr et encore convaincu que nous allons donner des résultats. Et il y a eu beaucoup de brillantes idées et de promouvoir des recherches collaboratives au niveau sous-régional, focaliser des recherches pour résoudre des problèmes et axer sur un pays ou sur une sous-région. Rapidement, les jeunes peuvent se regrouper autour de ce problème et c'est ce qu'on veut faire. Nous avons démarré la formation en ligne. C'est une formation qui va durer un peu plusieurs mois, mais parallèlement à ces formations qui ont démarré, il y aura des activités de recherche ciblées sur les problèmes émergents, des problèmes d'une région ou des cas d'école, ainsi de suite. Merci IS, c'est la IS qui nous a amené. Et ce parcours, si on est ici aujourd'hui, je me rappelle quand on a échangé et quand j'ai appris l'idée, je me suis dit, waouh, ça c'est quelque chose qu'on peut amener très loin parce que c'est une réalité. Et je pense qu'on ira très loin. Et je remercie les étudiants qui sont disposés. Effectivement, on a remarqué que la plateforme a une limitation parce que j'ai fait un test très rapidement où j'ai demandé à 10 autres membres de se connecter au moment où on était à 349 et ils n'avaient pas pu se connecter. Donc, toutes nos excuses pour ça. Et ils sont disposés, malgré que certains sont au cours, ils sont vraiment disposés à faire du concret. Avant qu'on ne démarre les cours, on a eu plusieurs messages de l'Afrique du Nord où les gens disent quand est-ce que nous allons commencer les activités? Ce sont eux qui nous poussaient même pour savoir quand est-ce qu'on commence. Merci IS, c'est pour vous dire que bon, la balle est maintenant dans notre camp. We have to move now forward to concrete results and to respond to the need of the continent, starting from national level, going to the sub-regional, trying to work with the regional communities and get the young people, you know, qu'ils soient fiers de ce qu'ils font, de leur contribution au développement de ce continent. Thank you. Merci, IS. Over to you.
Stay safe. You're going into the Christmas period. Wear your mask. Vaccinate yourselves. It's important because we want you back in January. We want you safe. We want you well. Thank you so much again, Karima, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, yes. So maybe I'm just asking the participants to turn those who can do it, turn their camera on. So can we have a group photo? Thank you, yes, for being the champion of the network. Many thanks to all our distinguished panelists and all those who have participated today. Thank you. And as you said, yes, Thierry Amusukbo is not only a believer, he's a doer, and he was able to transform an idea just shared during a conversation into a very, very concrete project and initiatives. And we have seen the tremendous progress that has been made in just a few months. So thank you, Thierry, very much, and team, for all what you have been doing over this period. So can you put your cameras on, colleagues? Please, as many people as possible.
So this is
it, yes.
This is your chance as the youth to define to model, to change the direction of the African continent because of your research. Scientific, fact-based, data-based, that's what we're trying to do here. Youth, we need to read what the youth are doing. We need to see what you're doing, and you need to help us to make policy. So your chance to take.
Anyway, we can take pictures with the names, at least different pictures, and then we will move on so that we can release our distinguished guests and put an end to this first step, and wish all the best to the network and to your contribution to the network. Thank you all.
I think they haven't enabled the camera, so people can turn their cameras on. It's a very, technology is a difficult thing sometimes.
Technical people should enable the camera. Emmanuel, can you help?
Charles,
Okay,
Emmanuel,
I will
can you
add
help? Charles Barra?
everyone to the panelists.
No,
Yeah,
to
just make
everybody, please.
Let us know when it's done. Ah, professeur, bonjour professeur, je vous vois maintenant.
Bonjour Nabil.
Bonjour. Merci pour cette excellente initiative. Merci.
C'est nous qui vous remercions.
Hello.
Have to go. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I'm done.
So is the technical team helping us with the pictures, the photo, the group photo?
Excuse me, Madam Karama, I'm admitting, I'm turning the attendees to panelists, those who have raised their hands.
No, actually what we need is to put all the cameras, to enable all the cameras so that we can take a group photo.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. These are two groups of attendees and panelists. So I'm converting all the attendees to panelists.
Great. Thank you for your support. I know you are very busy, but you have been very efficient. Thank you very much for supporting us. So those who were anxious because we have given the floor to women only can be reassured. We have a lot of men in this network.
Vous faites de la discrimination, madame.
Non, il n'y a aucune discrimination. Elle ne peut être que positive de toute façon.
Discrimination positive.
Nous sommes pour l'égalité des droits.
Est-ce que la photo a été faite? Moi, c'est le professeur Avon Désiré.
Oui, bonjour professeur.
Merci, bonjour. La photo a été faite, on peut se retirer.
Oui.
Ou...
Has the photo been taken? Technical team, let us know whether we can just. Yeah. You have had time to take the picture so that we can close the meeting? Yes? Good. Merci à tous. Obrigada, shukran. Thank you very much.
Merci.
And see you next time. Looking forward to a very dynamic contribution to the network. You have heard the executive secretary. We want results, we want action. So we count on you for that. Au revoir à tous. Bye bye.
Au revoir, bye bye.
Au revoir. À la prochaine. Au revoir. À la prochaine.
Thank you.
Et merci pour tout.
Bye bye. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.
Allez.
Excellent.
Merci, Nadia.
Franchement, je vois le nombre de participants, c'est excellent.
Et nous avons une limitation, on aurait pu avoir le double, malheureusement.
Ah ben voilà, c'est raison de plus.
À très bientôt. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
See you.